Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining me tonight. Tonight would normally be Saturday night crafting, but we're switching to Sunday. The jet lag from getting home from Canada has been quite harsh, so I'm a day late, but I've got a really awesome video again tonight sharing what you can do with your scraps to make the most of what you've got in your stash. Tonight's inspiration actually came from a set of tags that I saw when I was in Canada a few years ago, and I loved them. They had some foiling on them, they were gorgeous, they were kind of contemporary, really pretty looking, but they were about like $2 or $3 for a small pack of them. So tonight we are going to make pretty posh fancy tags, but we're going to do them for like pennies. We're going to do them for so cheap, and we're going to use up our scraps to do that with. Now I'm using this punch here. It is a tag punch that I picked up from Crop-A-Dile. I'll link it down below for you. It's a nice big punch, not too big though. I will also link in the top right hand corner here a video where you can make your own tags without punches if you need some inspiration and some ideas on how you can create some tag styles where you don't need a punch. I'm going to use a punch today just simply for the fact that it's nice, quick and easy, and I wanted to do some quick and easy tag making tonight. So this is my scraps pile. This is about half of it actually. It sits under my desk, and every time I've got a bit of a scrap card I shove it under there, and then I go through it and use it for inspiration, grab bits out of it that I want to use, or I use it to make up craft packs for children. So you can see here I've got lots of the sort of extra bits from like prints that I did when I was doing jelly plate printing, a whole bunch of stuff. And I love tags. My next video, hopefully, will very likely be another tag video. I've got a whole big video, which will hopefully be short, crammed, packed full of different kinds of tag style ideas for you, so that you can have a tag for sort of every occasion and just kind of get the most out of your supplies. So here are all my tags cut out. It took me a few seconds because I used a punch. Nice, quick and easy. If you like punches, having a tag punch is really good fun. I did some white ones and some cream ones. I got some solid colors, and then I went and grabbed a couple of sheets of vellum as well and punched out some vellum. So I'm going to kind of categorize them into different ways of using different products. So I've got sort of my decorative papers, the ones that are a bit bold. They're going to kind of go in one pile. The sort of plain ones are going to go in another pile, just so you can see what you can do with the different variations. Now, this is our core and key crafting tool today. Get your post-it notes out. I'm sure everyone has got post-it notes. So get your post-it notes out. They are perfect for everything we're going to do tonight, and I'm going to share with you a couple of different techniques on how you can use them in your tag making. So I tried to keep tonight simple and not do too many different things to get you too overwhelmed or confused. So the main technique I'm going to do tonight is sort of do a bottom decorative gold edge. Now there's many ways you can do this. I've got 4 ways to show you tonight, and I'm starting with an ink pad first. So this ink pad is a metallic, juicy sort of pigment ink pad. This is the one that I found I liked the result of most, but was the most ineffective. So it looks gorgeous, looks great, but I did this yesterday and finished filming today and did the voiceover, and it was still wet. So if you have one of those ink pads, test it and try it before you go all in and do a whole bunch of them, because it does work the most effective on everything. It is the quickest, but it is also kind of the worst because it doesn't dry. Second is my Arteza acrylic pen. This is a metallic pen, so you give it a shake, push it down, get it activated and flowing a bit. I didn't get mine flowing very well before I started, and I ended up getting that sort of piling kind of look on my paper where it was sort of ripping and balling up my paper a bit on the top. So this is a good method, but it wasn't as great because it kind of ruined my cardstock a bit. So nice and quick and easy, but not the best result in the end, but will do if that's what you've got. Another option is paint. So I've got gouache today because I didn't have any acrylic paint in gold, but either gouache or acrylic paint will work. Gouache is a watercolor, water-soluble paint that is very pigmented and opaque, so you can't generally see through it. So it's a really nice one to use. You want to do 2 coats, however, I found, because otherwise it is a little bit translucent still. So if you've got acrylic paint or gouache, you can get that sort of gorgeous metallic look as well, really quick and easy, giving us that beautiful sort of posh finish we're sort of going for. Now, of course, you can change it up a bit. You could use 2 post-it notes and you could create some patterns on yours. Again, I didn't wait for this ink to dry before sticking down my post-its because I just wanted to share with you. But again, the ink didn't dry for me overall, so it was a bit annoying. But there are different ways that you could go about adding some lines on and adding on that metallic, splash of metallic. So we've got sort of the bottom ones you can play with. You can play with the side as well. You can do whatever you like and have fun creating. I'll share another one with you by the end of the video using our post-it notes, creating more fun effects as well. So when you've got your darker, more solid colored cardstocks, not all of them are as effective. Sometimes ink pads are a bit too translucent and they're not so easy to cover up that background. I did find paint worked really nice. Again, I did 2 layers on each of them just to kind of make sure that I got that full coverage going on. I don't know how it would be if you used an acrylic paint versus a gouache. If the acrylic you could get away with just one, but you get that gorgeous bold statement color. I switched it up a little bit and I used a bronze from my Arteza gouache color set, and I got this sort of gorgeous bronze on the bottom of the green, which I really liked. Lots of ways that you can play with the supplies you've got in your office or your craft room. So here's the pen. Looks alright when it's done. It's just kind of piled a little bit. I think that's the word. I'm not sure if I'm using it right. Then we've got the ink pad, which is great, but this was like 3 hours later, still wet. 2 days later, still wet, or at least 24 hours later, still wet. And then you've got the gouache, which I'm sure acrylic paint would behave the exact same way, beautiful and dry. So 3 different ways that you can use what you've got in your office. Now you're probably thinking, okay, what about the most obvious one? And that's what we're going to use next. So I've got these bold pattern prints, and the nicest, easiest way to cover up those bold pattern prints and add on that kind of sheen is to use embossing powder. So embossing powder is fantastic, especially if it is an opaque embossing powder. Your embossing powder should tell you on the lid. Most branded ones have either an O for opaque, which means solid, or a T for translucent, which means clear. So you want to use one that is opaque, and you will get this gorgeous look on it as well. Of course, you could use colored ones, but I'm kind of, in my head, I wanted that sort of classic, pretty style with the sort of metallic shine to it. Now, as you can see here, you're probably wondering, why on earth am I painting it on with my paintbrush? Now, these are my homemade backgrounds that I did with explosion powders. So I don't want to rub my ink pad on those powders because they will activate again. And then my ink pad will be covered in color. So I just went ahead and put the re-inker directly onto my paintbrush, and that way I could paint on that embossing ink so that it can dry. Now, my embossing powder is quite old. I've used it for about 2 years non-stop. I need to get a new pot. So it was still showing a bit through. So I thought, actually, I need to do 2 coats with this. Now, I do have a new bottle of Wow embossing powder. This is my Alina Crafts one, and the Wow one worked much better. I only needed 1 coat for it. So it depends on your embossing powder, how old it is, how much it's been used, if you've accidentally mixed it with other things, as to how effective it will be to cover up things. But most of the metallics will be 1 coat only, and they're opaque. So on that one there, you can see I did some silver because I felt like that one needed silver, not gold. And then here you can see a bit more of what I was saying. You can kind of see those deers through that embossing powder. So I'm just adding on a second layer, but I will go ahead and purchase another one of these pots from Alina because this is the first time I've seen it kind of doing that. I think I've mixed a lot of translucent powder in there because that's my most common one. And if I don't clean out my purple tray very well, which you can see to the left there, I do end up with it staying in, and without thinking, I then pour it into my gold embossing powder pot when I'm pouring it back in. Now, this is a fun glitter, one that I've had for a long time in my stash. I can't even remember what it's called. I doubt it's still available, but Wow do a lot of really cool glitter embossing powders. With the glitter, always heat it from behind first. Always, always, always. Because otherwise, if you put that gun to the front first, it blows all the glitter off. And you don't get that wow factor of glitter being in your embossing powder. So make sure you heat it from the back and then bring it around the front. Now I'm going to share with you tonight just 2 ways of kind of finishing off these tags so they're ready to go either as a gift or to go straight onto your gifts themselves. I've got 2 more punches. I dug through my stash. If you've got dies, that will work. If you haven't, you could cut squares and just kind of cut different layered sized squares. Whatever you've got, make it work. And I'm going to do 2 layers. So I'm going to have my little background layer and I'm going to do my stamped top layer. Now it's quite funny because the stamps I'm going to use are actually designed for some bubble stamps, and I'll try and link them down below if I can work that out. But these are kind of all the stamps that go inside the bubble stamps, and there's also some bubble dies that you can use to cut these out. But these are perfect for little small sentiments or little small images if you have a small project like tags. So I got these out. They're really fun and quite useful, actually. I didn't think I was going to use them that much, but here we are. I'm using them for the second time now since I bought them, and not with the original dies and stamps they came with, so that's quite good. So here are my little tags ready to go. Now to finish them off, obviously I need some holes so I can put some string through them. You could leave them as they are and stick them on the gift, but I really like putting holes and ribbon or string in the top. I feel like that kind of adds a little bit more of a wow factor. I could also then tie some tulle around the gift and then tie these onto the gift itself. So I've used my Crop-A-Dile, which is just an industrial sized hole punch. It looks like a dentist tool, but it's not. It's the best thing in my craft room. I've had it for 15 years and it's still going just as good as it was the day I got it. Now I got this twine from AliExpress. It's just really, really thin, nice twine. I punched the smallest hole in my Crop-A-Dile so that I've got a nice small hole instead of a giant one on my little tags, so it's not too overwhelming and doesn't look too silly having a huge hole in there. Then I can use this little twine and string it through. Now I've cut more twine than I need because if I choose to give these away, people then have enough twine to work with to put it on their gift however they like, or when I go to put it on a gift, I've got my twine ready to go, so I've just kind of strung it on there. Now here are my vellum ones. I love vellum. I feel like it looks really classy, really pretty. It's quite fun. You could easily write on it with like a permanent pen if you want quick dry in action, if you're going to write on the tag as like a for you kind of thing, or you could always heat emboss your sentiment on. Now here's our post-it notes again. We are going to bring those back into play. You don't actually need the anti-static powder bag because I'm going to use the post-it note right over the whole tag. So we don't actually need that. But here we are with our hole punch again that we've already used. And we're going to go ahead and just swipe on that Versamark ink pad to get it nice and sticky. And then I'm just going to scoop up some of that powder that I've already got left in my tray. I'm going to heat it from the back and then heat it from the front. I'm going to work really quickly and carefully with this because the vellum warps really fast. So you want to heat that embossing powder and get rid of it straight away. Now this is the Wow Gold embossing powder. So it's slightly different to the Alina one, and I only needed 1 coat because it's still pretty brand new and I haven't messed it up too much. But here are my little funky ones that I felt were really cool and contemporary. I've got my sort of half circles on there. I got my line ones, which is what I started with, and now we're going to make them into a gift set. So I'm going to package these up really pretty and give them away to someone so that they've got tags to use on their Christmas gifts. Now what I can do with those is gift them with one of my gold pens from Arteza, and they can write their little sentiments on there and it'll all be matchy-matchy, really pretty and a really nice gift. So again, punch that hole in the top and then I'm ready for some string, but I'm not going to put the string through because I'm going to make myself a little envelope that I can then put these in with their string and gift it to someone. So I'm going to use white, what is this called? I want to say yarn, it's not yarn, twine, a white twine, there we go. I'm going to use the Creative Essentials range gift board, punch box, score tool maker all in one thing. I bought this a couple months ago now and I haven't used it yet. So I'm following the guide on there and I'm going for one that starts with a base that's 6x6 because the paper trimmer is nice and easy. I just shove in my vellum, shove it all the way to the end, and that's 6. So I just cut 6x6 inches ready to go. I actually had to go and stop crafting to watch a video on how to use this punch board, or not punch board, stop paying punch board, my envelope board or scoreboard, because I've always had the Martha Stewart one in the past, which I don't know where it is now. And this is new to me, and it's slightly different than the Martha Stewart one. So you're working on the right hand side, whereas normally with the Martha Stewart you work on the left hand side. So you line up a little guide along that edge there, and then it says to start at in this case 2.5 inches. So you just line up your tool where it says score and run it down that line there, and it's lined up with 2.5 inches on the left. Then once you've done that first mark, you don't have to line it up again with anything but the score line you just made. So make sure, because the first time I did this, I was lining it up with 2.5 inches, 2.5 inches, 2.5 inches, and you get a real wonky, messed up project. So you want to line up that score line with the bottom of that little pokey outy bit that's at the top right. And then you go ahead and make your next score line, and you do that on all 4 edges, and then you've got your envelope shape. So lesson learned, watch the video first, then craft Sasha. So I'm just going to reinforce my score lines. I'm being very gentle here because vellum does tear really easy and does break really easy. So I'm just being really gentle to fold it really nice and easily. Then I'm going to cut out the notches, which is just that sort of little triangle that's left over. I'm going to snip those out. And in the end, I did actually go back and snip out a little bit more. I kind of cut it on an angle on each of those corners just so that it folded a bit easier and didn't kind of crinkle up on itself. Now I've got my sort of same make as the Crop-A-Dile. It's the We Are Memory Keepers, and I've got the corner rounder. It's just a corner rounder. That's all you need. I'm going to add some adhesive to one of those sides and stick my envelope together. Now you can kind of see the adhesive, but I'm not too bothered. Pretty hard to work with vellum without doing that. I'll stick my little cute tags in there, my little bundle of twine, pop that in, and then, you know, the punches are on my desk. Why not get them out again and make myself a little topper to go on my little gift envelope? Now I could go ahead and take a pen and I could stick it to the envelope as well. Just kind of use a glue dot and stick it on the outside and gift it, or make a little cute vellum box to go with my pen. But I can gift this with a nice gold pen and it'll all be beautiful and matching. So that's my second gift idea on how you can use up these tags. You can either use them, have them prepped and ready to go for your gifts, or you can make up little bundles and give them away as little gifts alongside of your card. Like, this is something that's nice and easy. You can pop in the post really nicely and give out some Christmas tags to people. So I hope you enjoyed tonight. I hope you had a lovely time with me. I've got loads of tags left over that are ready to go. I can just write on them, or I could take a stamp and some ink and I could stamp a sentiment right in the middle of them and then stick them in the gift. I'll leave that for when I am ready to use them. So please join me for next week where I'll be sharing some more crafty ideas with you. And I hope you have a fabulous week ahead. Take care and see you soon. Bye.